Hello everyone, my name is Kristen and my pronouns are she, her.
My name is Melanie, my pronouns are they, them.
And today we are going to be talking about the writing process and specifically about writing Switchback.
Yeah.
So today I have with me the esteemed writer of Switchback, my friend Melanie. And since you were the one that wrote the film, my first question for you, Melanie, is what is your writing process?
Seems like a simple question. I think, everybody has their own process. I don't know if my process is unique, if everybody does this, I don't know. So I'm just going to tell you what I do. I want to start by saying that I am a really, really avid journaler. I pretty much do not let a day pass without journaling of some kind. And I do think that that is ultimately where everything starts, because I am always looking to make meaning out of my experiences. Fundamentally, that's what I'm journaling about, is why did that happen? Or what was going on there? Or this happened to me. And then I'm sort of transmuting that into some kind of meaning, into taking away some lesson or information I can use in the future, or just reflecting on something. And so that carries over into my storytelling, I think, as well, because I am a themes forward storyteller. I like to think about stories in terms of themes. And so when I think about how I got the idea for Switchback, originally, way back at the very beginning, it was on a trip to the Grand Canyon with my mom. And it was kind of an interesting trip. We had done a road trip and we were camping at the Grand Canyon and sightseeing in that area. And my mom was not mobile enough to do the kinds of hikes and things that I was interested in. And so it really was one of the first times that I had done a bit more solo adventuring, especially in a strange place. And so I was getting up before sunrise to walk a trail to see the sun come up in the canyon and just doing things that were very unusual for me. And of course, in the midst of doing all that, I'm journaling about, wow, I'm so glad I got up so early. I hated every second of waking up in the dark, but it was so worth it. And, just things like that. And after that experience, I thought a lot about how transformative that hiking, even on a small scale, had been for me, and thinking about how that could be turned into a bigger story about a relationship, about self-discovery, things like that. And so I think that is a good way to say that's how I start with ideas, is generally from a personal experience that I'm sort of trying to make meaning or understand a little bit better. Yeah.
And then once you've got that original idea and concept kicking around your head, what do you do? Do you plot out points? Do you start with characters? And how do you flesh it out from there?
Yeah, I would say that my character building is typically the last phase. So I'm really building plot and theme first. What is happening? Why is it happening? What does it mean that that's happening to these people? And then I start injecting why this person is reacting in this particular way to that. And then that helps me build out that character. So I'm not coming in being they're a feisty, ex-lawyer or whatever, I'm not coming in with this is the person. I'm coming in with this is the scenario, and then who is the person that's going to be shaped by the scenario. I think that is most typical of most of my writing. There might be some exceptions, but I think in general, that's sort of how I work.
And do you use your notebook a lot in those early phases? Are you jumping right into a computer? I know some people put cards up on a wall. Are you mapping out a journey with plot points?
I have done all of the above at different times with different projects and with Switchback. So maybe we can put up a couple images of some of my examples of doing that. But I think probably the tool I return to the most is my notebooks. And so, of course, I have my journals, and then I have, I'm a notebook fiend, so I have many, many, many notebooks. And so I usually have a notebook for the project that I sort of collect information, research, notes from workshops, notes from discussions with people, little ideas that come to mind, as well as some of the art and things that I talked about in the pitch video, so that I have it kind of all in one place and I can flip through. And I also have because of the way I'm putting it in the book, I almost have a timeline of the idea. So I have where the idea started, the next set of notes that really changed it, the next set of notes that really changed it, and so on and so forth. And it is something that I come back to every single time that I'm going to do a new draft. I just sort of look back and I check that there's nothing that was, kind of found or collected or said to me that I haven't tried at least once to see if it would do something good or help. And then it also reminds me what I have tried so that I don't kind of go backwards and do things that I've done before. And the notebook, like the art part of the notebook is less about, scenes and more about feelings that I want to come from scenes. So I will find a painting or a photograph or something like that, and I'll put it in my book. And it's more like free-form brainstorming around that image to go, why is it that this image is speaking to me and I'm hearing Switchback? So like, what is it about this image that I can bring into Switchback? And then I can usually find some kind of information while I'm brainstorming, and then I can bring that into actual script. So description, a scene, a theme, a visual sort of motif or something like that, it will kind of come back, maybe something to do with a character, it will come back in through that.
And what is your writing practice? Like, do you carve out set dates, times, blocks? Do you wait for kind of a rush of inspiration to really then get going? Or, explain that process.
Yeah, I have tried to be I write every day person. That is not my process at all. I really do, like I said, I love the notebook because what I can do with that is I can collect things to apply to a draft. And then when I have sort of enough that feels like, okay, this is like, it would be worth a redraft now. I have quite a few ideas I want to try out, or I've gotten some notes from someone and I want to try those out, or a deadline is coming up and I want to refresh the script before we send it out again. And then I will do a big, intense burst of writing. So I will just write every day for a week, or maybe like 6 or 7 hours a day for several days. But it's not like I'm writing an hour every day my whole life. Mm-hmm. I'm doing that, but like in these really intense pieces. And then I think that for me, the reason that I like that is because I can just get a whole bunch out quickly, intensely, and then I can step back and take time to like read it, reflect on it, edit, send it to readers, send it to you, for feedback, and then, spend some time like percolating in it before I rush to make new changes. And that's what when I did try to write more consistently every day, a small amount, I find that I would end up rewriting scenes that didn't need to be rewritten yet. And so that's part of why that method didn't ever quite work for me. Yeah.
Speaking of sending it out for feedback, that is going to be the second half of this writing video series, talking about once you have a draft, how do you continue to develop it, and how do you take in and receive and apply feedback? Tune in next time for that video.
We'll see you in that one.
Bye.
Bye.